We've discovered that a number of local scholars and experts believe that diversity education in our schools for our children all the way up is lacking. Joining us to discuss this is Carly Jennings. She's a sociologist at Texas A&M University, specifically an interdisciplinary race scholar with international experience in educating infants, children, and their parents and teachers. She joins us. And the first question I have for you, Professor, is what kind of diversity, racial, and ethnic education is going on in our classrooms right now?
That's such a good question. And unfortunately, I would have to say that it's not consistent enough to be able to give a general answer. It depends on the district, the university that's training the teachers. But as of now, there's no national standard. There's no minimum requirement that teachers or people who are about to become teachers, the kind of students I've had, must be as aware of culturally appropriate pedagogy as they have to be aware of age appropriate pedagogy. In other words, someone who is teaching young children has to demonstrate an empathic attunement to the needs and the development of those children. We don't have a similar component for race in teacher training across the board.
So we don't have that similar component. You say we don't have any national or federal standards on this. So maybe I'm answering my own question here, but would you say that there is work that needs to be done and more that needs to be done to get racial and diversity education into our schools?
Yes, I think there's so much more that needs to be done, even to get racial and diversity acknowledgement into the schools.
When we look at these things, I mean, the big question is, do you have any ideas for us at this point, as broad or as specific as you might want to be, any ideas at what that better education or more education or any diversity education or racial education could look like? Any idea what that should or could look like?
Absolutely. Yes. And it happens at two levels. One very important level is the student experience. But backing up that student experience, creating that student experience, is going to be the teacher's knowledge, her body of knowledge. So as a teacher educator, as someone who has had classrooms full of teachers who were going on to have their own classrooms, I really believe that the teacher preparation is key. That must be well established, research-based. So there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of work being done. Multicultural children's literature is not just for Black or brown children. It's for all children who want to have a perspective that's going to help them be good citizens in a multiracial society.
When or at what age do you see that children really get a sense of the impact race has on their lives? Another way, I guess I could put it more simply, is when do children begin to be impacted by race in their lives?
When do they recognize what race means in their lives? I think it depends on the child, and it depends quite a lot on the race of the child. For example, a Black child may come to understand race in a way that is hostile. And a white child that same age has not encountered and may never encounter those messages about who they are, their existence, their race. It is something negative, something that's treated differently. And as far as understanding the impact, I think we have to acknowledge that some adults have not come to terms with what race means in their lives and in the lives of the people who live around them.
Professor Carly Jennings is a sociologist at Texas A&M University with specific research focus in early childhood education, interdisciplinary race education. Thank you so much, Professor Jennings, for joining us today for a little bit of perspective on how our classrooms, especially at young ages, can do a better job of providing diversity in race and ethnic education. Thank you.
Thank you for having. Thank you for the invitation.